Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. With I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toad Stool Sports. It is Saturday, January 24th. Thanks to everybody who hung out for the college basketball show late last night. Can you guys hear me? Hold on. Let me check the audio. Yes, I think we're good. All right, sweet. Great production quality here, everybody. But yes, thanks for everybody that hung out for the basketball show last night. 3 hours almost is what we did. Went until like 4 in the morning. So this morning, I should say. I'm on no sleep, so I'm totally out of it right now. Yesterday, we went 1-2, which was not good. Wagner was an easy win in college basketball. They almost won the game outright. They lost by 2. Easy win. Hockey did not go well. And I think Tampa Bay was bullshit, dude. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you had told me that Chicago was going to score 1 goal, I would have been like, yeah, obviously we're going to lay the puck line with Tampa in this game. Obviously they'll get 3. No problem there, right? And Chicago literally only had 6 shots on goal. Like a few minutes into the third period, they only had 6 shots on goal in the entire game, and yet they had a goal, and the game was 1-1. It's just so frustrating, dude. Tampa not able to score, basically, even though they had way more shots. Tampa dominated the game. They had way more shots, way more hits. They won more faceoffs. They won every statistic in the game, and they had to go and win in overtime and not cover the puck line. I'm pissed about it. And then Seattle didn't get there either. And, of course, they had to tease by coming back after they were down 3-1. They made it 3-2 in the third period. And it looked like maybe there's a chance they could do something. But nope. They lose 4-2. It was probably an empty net. I don't know. I didn't see it. I was doing my show, the college basketball show. Well, I was handicapping college basketball, and then I was like barely awake. I don't know. We'll move on to today. I will reiterate the 6 college basketball plays that I have. Some of the Instagram videos are up already, so you can see those there as well. I think I have 2 more to still go to upload there, but those are the night games, so I'm fine. So I'm fine. If you guys are familiar with Jim's Big Ego, Stress, that song, that's what I'm thinking of right now. It's literally just about him, like, being hopped up on caffeine the whole time. I'm addicted to stress. That's the way that I get things done. Nobody knows that song. They're local guys. They actually played at my college when I was in college once. They did a live show. It was good. They're funny. All right. Yes, I'm only going to add 1 more play today. We don't have too many games here to talk about here. We have about 8 hockey games, I think, and about 8 NBA games as well. And I hate the NBA board. I absolutely despise it. I'm skipping NBA, second straight day. It's just what it is, man. It is what it is. I'm looking for spots, and the only play that I'm adding, you guys already know what it is. It's in hockey. I talked about it yesterday. We're playing chess here, man. I was right. It's going to be a play, and that's the only play I'm adding here. Charles, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Fresno? No. What? It must be. Dude, it's the Mountain West. Like, what? Most books are going to have the Mountain West. That doesn't make any sense. How many books do you have available? There's no way. The Mountain West is like they're considered to be like the biggest of the non-power conferences. I don't see how that's possible unless you're in if you're in a state that disallows that or something. If you're in California or Arizona, then that might be why. Excuse me. And if you see other Mountain West games, I don't know. I have no idea why that would be the case. FanDuel, they should have it. Get on another book, man. Let me see. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say the names of these books here. I'm trying not to, because if the channel grows, I'm probably going to have to avoid doing that. But hang on. I'm going to look right now on FanDuel. Although, obviously, I have it in Massachusetts, so it's different. But let me see. Yeah, you're right. They don't have it. What? But they have, Big West games and stuff. Unless... Oh, did the game get, canceled or something or postponed? I don't know. Now I'm interested. I'm going to look at the other of the large sites. You know what I'm talking about. Let me see if they have the odds on this. I mean, if they do, you should probably just do it at this other site. You know what I'm talking about. They don't have it either. I think the game might actually... But dude, they're in Fresno. They're not affected by the snow. So... Yeah, I don't understand why there are no lines on it, unless maybe there's an injury situation and maybe it's just off the board right now until more information comes out and then they'll put it back up. I honestly have no idea. I can check Action Network real quick and see how many books have that up, because I saw it yesterday. I found it at 4 last night. Let me see. This is still saying it's up on the other. This is basically saying there's a line at all the big sites except for FanDuel, but I did just look at, DK, and I didn't see it there. But this is saying that it's up on all the other sites. It's 3.5 at most places and 4 at one shop. I don't know, man. I think it should be there. I don't know what FanDuel is doing, though. Load up, baby. If you want that game, then load up. Kyle, what's up, man? All right. Yes. Check back. All right, let's get this done, man. We got hockey. Some afternoon hockey here. Buffalo at the Islanders is the first game up at 1 p.m. Buffalo is coming off a pretty good win over Montreal in their last game, although I don't really think they're going to overlook the Islanders, but they are having to play a couple of big games in a row here. As far as the Islanders are concerned, I don't think the Islanders are going to overlook Buffalo either, because both these teams have been playing well. So I think both teams generally should show up. However, I do think the Islanders are in the worst spot here because they're returning home from a long road trip. This doesn't make my cut because I'm just worried that they might still show up here, but you know the deal. If a team's returning home from a long road trip, and the Islanders have been on the road since January 8th, man. They went everywhere. They went out to the middle of the country. They went up to Canada, Western Canada, Pacific Northwest. Now they're coming all the way back after a long road trip like that. I always talk about how teams can get distracted. They have to get back to home life. I will pretty much never be on a team in that spot. I'm either going to fade them or I'm going to be off the game. Now, they might show up for Buffalo just because Buffalo's been playing well. That might be the only concern here. They have Philadelphia up next. So Philadelphia's kind of been struggling, so I don't know if that's really a look ahead here. But because of the return home spot, I have to lean towards Buffalo in this game. That's the only way I could see playing it. But the money is seemingly disagreeing. The Islanders dropped from minus 125 to minus 107, but we see 67% of the tickets on Buffalo and 88% of the cash on the Islanders. I do not understand that. Again, yeah, this game is Buffalo or pass for me in this one. Just the return home spot is one of the worst spots you can be in. So those are my thoughts on that. Utah at Nashville. And the market read is honestly kind of keeping me off of the game as well. I don't know what's going on with that because I was thinking about maybe going Buffalo in that one, but that one will stay away from it. Utah is at Nashville. Utah is starting a road trip, and I talk about how teams, when they start road trips, they tend to be focused. Now, Utah does have 2 days off, so the days off might hurt their momentum a little bit because they won 4 games in a row, but 2 days off is pretty normal, so I kind of see this as a momentum continuing spot. Like, they should show up, want to get the road trip off on the right foot, except the problem is the next 3 games on the road trip are Tampa Bay, Florida, Carolina. and then Dallas when they return home. So all of those games are bigger than this game against Nashville. So you could make the argument, well, this is a look-ahead spot potentially, but you could maybe make the argument it's a sandwich because they did just win in overtime against Philly, although Philly's just kind of mediocre. But I think at the very least there is the worry that this is a look-ahead spot here. Nashville did just beat Ottawa in their last game. That ended a losing streak for them, only a 2-game losing streak, though. They're staying at home. They're 1-1 on the homestand, so they probably will be motivated to try to split the homestand here. So I will lean to Nashville in this game, but the money is seemingly disagreeing with that one too. Utah's up from -110 to -117. You can see why I'm not on these games. 77% of the tickets, 99% of the cash on Utah. I do agree, again, that the start of a road trip is usually a focus spot, but in this case, again, I worry because all of Utah's games on the road trip are bigger than this one, so that's my concern there. By the way, I did forget to mention for the Islanders, they do have a couple of days off in their return home spot there. But again, I always talk about, I think it's still a distracted spot. I think the return home, when you have extra days off, you can just it helps you settle in back at home. And I think sometimes it adds to the distraction. All right, NHL Network, the only televised game, it's not an ESPN Plus game, is one of the original 6 rivalries, man. And this is a heated rivalry. Montreal and Boston, my Bruins. We hate the Canadians, man. I'm sorry. It's just the way that it is, although the last few years the Canadians haven't been good, so this hasn't been that much of a rivalry, although the Bruins sucked last year. Both these teams are playing decent this year. Montreal is the better of the two teams, slightly, and the odds makers are telling you that. Montreal just lost at Buffalo, or at home against Buffalo, like I said. Now, this is a single-game trip to Boston, though, and they do play Vegas and Colorado up next, but I don't think they're going to overlook Boston. They're coming off a loss. Maybe that loss was a bit explainable because Montreal beat Minnesota the game before that, which is a pretty big win, although that was actually in a return home spot, interestingly. But I see them showing up in this game. The Bruins, I think, are in the worst spot, actually, because they just beat Vegas when they returned home. That was a big win for the Bruins, and it was a little bit misleading, as I talked about. The Bruins are out to a 4-0 lead early. They capitalized on power plays early in the game, and then they almost blew the game, but Vegas kind of outstatted them in the game, which isn't surprising. Vegas is the better team. So a little bit of a misleading result. Very good win for the Bruins. I could see them maybe being a little bit of a letdown spot here. Swayman will be back in net for them, though, as Korpisalo played in the game against the Golden Knights, so they will have their better goaltender in net for this one. The Bruins will. The Bruins are a public side, 92% of the tickets, 98% of the cash, down from -115 to -112. I would lean towards Montreal in that game. I think they are the better team. I think the spot is a little bit better for them, but I'm staying away. Carolina at Ottawa. Carolina, of course, as I mentioned yesterday, as part of the Chicago handicap yesterday, they lost to Chicago at home as a huge favorite, and Carolina actually dominated that game statistically. They needed Bussy back in net, man. That's why it happened. Anderson, he's not getting it done anymore. Bring back the Bussy. It's Bussy time, and he should be in net in this one here. They're going on the road for a single-game road trip to Ottawa. Kind of a weird travel spot, but it's not really surrounded by any bigger games. And I think coming off a loss like that where they clearly were the better team and took a misleading loss, I think you will get an effort out of Carolina here in this one. Ottawa will show up as well, though. Ottawa's not going to overlook a game against Carolina, but Ottawa is returning home from a road trip, although a little bit of a shorter road trip. It only went to Detroit, Columbus, Nashville, and it was less than a week. So sometimes these shorter road trips, they're not as bad as the longer road trips because less stuff piles up to have to do at home, whatever. And again, I don't think they're going to be distracted enough to completely overlook Carolina, although they do play Vegas tomorrow, then Colorado, but we're talking about an Eastern Conference matchup here. I'm going to stay away from the game, but I do prefer Carolina in this game. The money seems like it does agree, up from -125 to -128. They're public. I mean, it almost looks too easy to lay this short of a price with Carolina, but that's really the only way that I could look at this game is to lean that way. 94% of the tickets and 99% of the cash on the Canes, the Hurricanes, the Hartford Whalers, man. That's the way that I would lean in that game is Carolina. They are the better team, and I think they're in a pretty good bounce back spot there. It's just the travel is a little bit weird. We're bringing the Bussy back, yes. This one almost made the cut, by the way. This almost made my card, but I'm being selective. I'm giving you what I think is the absolute best play of the day. And the money's disagreeing with my play, so isn't that awesome? All right, Tampa Bay at Columbus. Of course, Tampa Bay played yesterday, and we did not get the puck line win on that. They didn't play particularly well. They got by Chicago in an escape. Now, they did have 2 days off prior to that, so the back-to-back is not as bad as it could be because they had 2 days off before yesterday. And yesterday, they actually really outplayed Chicago in the game. I'm still pissed we didn't get the win on that. They had to go to a shootout to win. Yes, the shootout will take a little bit out of you. They'll have Johansson in net here most likely. Vasilevsky's played a bunch of games in a row. Johansson should be in there. Johansson, I should say, on the back-to-back. Columbus, not really a team that you're really going to totally focus on. But again, Tampa Bay kind of escaped last night, so I could see them actually still showing up with focus here. I don't really love the spot for Columbus because they just beat Dallas, and they're just staying at home riding that big win. It was a weird 1-0 shutout win there. Good win for Columbus. They're not going to overlook Tampa, obviously, but having to play 2 big games in a row like that might be a little bit difficult for them. Looking at the market read, the money, I believe, is on Columbus in this one. It is. Tampa's down from -120 to -119. 80% of the tickets on the Lightning. 70% of the cash, however, on the Blue Jackets here. I don't really have a strong enough opinion on this to disagree with the market on this one, so I guess I will agree with the Columbus side, but I don't really find it to be that strong of a opinion there, that strong of a situation. I think if it weren't for the back-to-back, I would prefer Tampa in that spot if it was with Vasilevsky and if they had like a day of rest coming off a game like that. I think the spot would actually be better for Tampa if that was the case. Cruel Spark, Shannon, what's up? Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Detroit at Winnipeg here. Detroit just lost to Minnesota, I believe, in an overtime game, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, an overtime game. That was a big game, man. Now they're playing a third game in 4 days, all in different cities. Not that easy, and they might overlook Winnipeg because Winnipeg's just not having a very good season, although, again, a lot of it was because they lost Hellebuck, who is the best goaltender in the league. He is back. He probably is going to play in this game because he had a day off on Tuesday. He played on Thursday, but they did have a big game on Thursday against Florida, and they lost in a shootout against the returning champs. So it's kind of a bad spot for both teams here. I think maybe the fact that Winnipeg might be more desperate for a win because they've lost 3 of the last 4 games and they're staying at home and they want to at least try to win the homestand here. That's probably the deciding factor for me to lean towards Winnipeg here, but it's not a strong opinion. The money does agree with Winnipeg. They dropped from -125 to -121, but we got 62% of the tickets on the Red Wings and 87% of the cash on the Jets. So it does look like kind of a pros versus Joes setup there. But again, I don't know how much we should put into these market reads early on because my game, the one play that I have, is going completely opposite of the market read, and I do not get it. And that is this next game here. I already told you what we're going to do here. We're going to be on the LA Kings on the money line. That's what we're doing here. I don't see how the market read looks like it does. I see zero argument for playing the St. Louis Blues in this game, man. The Kings, they just broke a losing streak with a win. They had 4 losses in a row. They beat the Rangers because, of course, they did. So that's going to end that losing momentum. They actually have been off since Tuesday, and if they were on a win streak, I would say, well, that might be disruptive to the win streak, but because they only won 1 game, I think that it is going to disrupt that losing streak, basically, and now they get to start a road trip. Should be a focus spot. You want to get the road trip off on the right foot. They only play Columbus next, so it's not really going to be a look ahead. I think you're going to get a good effort out of this Kings team here, man. This Kings team, they're also better on the road than they are at home, as I keep pointing out. 12-6-6 on the road. Pretty good road record. St. Louis, decent at home. They're better at home. St. Louis is 12-9-5 at home. But really, I guess that's the only argument I might see for St. Louis here because I don't see it, man. I think St. Louis is in a really bad spot. They're returning home from a road trip. It was not a road trip that was that long. It started on Sunday. Still a road trip nonetheless. They did lose all 3 games on the road trip, but I think the public is going to have a tendency to think, well, the team's going to bounce back from that. I think the opposite is the case. I think when you're returning home from a road trip, you got to get stuff done at home. It can be a distraction. The Kings haven't been that good of a team this year, so I think St. Louis could overlook the Kings. And St. Louis just played Dallas yesterday to finish the road trip, and this was a brutal way to lose this game for the Blues, man. The Blues actually kind of outplayed Dallas in a lot of ways in this game, except for the face-off percentage. Blues had more shots, more hits, and the way that this game ended was really, really brutal for the Blues. The Blues were up 2-1 in the second period. It was a tied game going into the third period, and then they lost on a Dallas goal with 1 minute left in regulation. That's how St. Louis lost that game to Dallas yesterday. And now they're traveling back home from Dallas off of that horrible spot for St. Louis, man. And I already pointed this out when we were looking ahead to this game. We were talking about St. Louis's game yesterday. They have Dallas again next as well, and then they play Florida. So they have 2 huge games on deck. Dallas again, and it'll be a little bit of a quick revenge spot there as well. They're in a Dallas sandwich right now, man. They're in a, I don't know, a beef, or what are they in? They're in a barbecue brisket sandwich here. I don't know. What the fuck do they eat in Dallas for sandwiches? Something like that. I should know. I mean, I've been there, but yeah, something like that. Horrible, horrible spot for St. Louis. I do not understand what's going on in the market here. LA Kings, strongest play in hockey today, in my opinion. They did drop from -140 to -135. 62% of the cash on the, 62% of the tickets showing on the Kings. 68% of the cash on St. Louis. Again, I do not understand why that's the case. I don't get it. I don't even think we really care who's goaltending in these games, man. For the Kings, we don't even know who it's going to be because they used Forsberg the last couple of games. They've had a ton of rest, so it's really going to be, they get to choose whoever they want as their goalie in this game, so that's fine for the Kings. St. Louis, I don't think either of their goalies are good. Binnington played yesterday, so it will be Hoffer. I would probably prefer it be Binnington because Binnington has been absolutely horrendous recently, but I just still don't even think I care. This is such a bad spot. LA Kings are the play. Let's get it right, man. Singing the blues. Yeah, we better not be doing that. Zach, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Everybody back from last night. Hell yeah. All right, we have Florida at Minnesota. Definitely one of the more interesting games of the day. One of the best games of the day in that both teams are pretty good. Florida just came off that shootout win over Winnipeg, like I said. That was kind of an escape for them. I think they will show up for a game against Minnesota. Florida did have a couple days off prior to that Winnipeg game, too, so they're pretty well rested coming into this game. Minnesota, let me see here. Minnesota just won in overtime against the Detroit Red Wings the other day, and that was in a return home spot. They're playing a little bit more of a tightly packed schedule here because if you go back all the way to the 15th, this is going to be their, what is this? Their 6th game in 10 days, I think is what this is. So they've played a lot of games recently, man. And a lot of them in different cities because they were on a road trip. So Minnesota is the less rested team here for sure. They're not going to overlook Florida, but I think I would probably have to lean to Florida. Minnesota's coming off the more impressive win over a really solid Detroit team. Florida just barely got by, kind of a weak Winnipeg team. So the money is kind of indicating on Minnesota right now, but I would lean towards Florida in this game. Minnesota down from -125 to -120 on the money line. 80% of the tickets on them. 99% of the cash. Probably not accurate. But Minnesota may wind up being the public side in this game. Public is very recency bias, and it's like, what has Florida done for me lately? Well, they're not going to win the Stanley Cup again, probably, so. All right, final game is Washington at Edmonton. Washington just broke a 4-game losing streak with a win over Calgary, but that was yesterday, so they are facing a back-to-back. They are actually facing a, a 5th game in 8 days, all in different cities, I think is what that is. So they've played a lot of games recently, man. It's a 3rd game in the last 4 days, 4th game in the last 6 days, and 5th game in the last 8 days, all in different cities, including the back-to-back off of beating Calgary. That's not a win that's going to make you overconfident, but still a back-to-back with travel. But they did break the losing streak, so that could give them some new momentum coming into this one. Edmonton did just get destroyed by Pittsburgh in their last game. Hasn't been a great homestand for Edmonton so far, going 1-2 on the homestand. Only win coming against St. Louis, not good. Losing 6-2 in the last game and staying at home. I think Edmonton has probably got to be the right side here. Without travel, didn't play yesterday, coming off a pretty embarrassing loss at home, staying on their home ice, trying to redeem themselves. It would be Edmonton or pass for me in this game. You'd probably have to do like a -1 puck line situation or something in this one if you wanted it. Edmonton down from -178 to -177. 91% of the tickets and 100% of the cash. Obviously not accurate. But those are my thoughts on the hockey games. All right, NBA, and then I will reiterate the college basketball. We'll see what the market's doing for my college basketball plays, and then I will get out of here. NBA, I'm skipping. Like I said, I just think this is a bad NBA board today, man. It's 7 games, I believe, not 8. Washington at Charlotte is the first game up at noon. Oh, yeah, that's a real good one. Hilariously, Charlotte is a double-digit favorite in this game. Who would have ever, who saw it coming, man, that Charlotte would be a double-digit favorite? The odds makers basically have Washington as the worst team in the NBA. Charlotte actually is not that bad. Washington, of course, they've lost a ton of games in a row. What else is new? Single-game road trip for them here to Charlotte. I mean, when you're losing like this, you're probably going to try to win a game because it's just embarrassing to keep losing. For Charlotte is coming off, I believe, destroying Orlando, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they went to Orlando and they really beat them up, 124-97. So Charlotte coming off a very satisfying win. They have this weak Wizards team here, and up next they got to play the 76ers, which is a bigger game. So I do think this is kind of a sandwich spot. I would probably fade Charlotte in this game if I was going to play it. Charlotte, I mean, I don't really know if they deserve to be a double-digit favorite, although it looks so wild that they are one that I worry about actually fading them there because it's like, how could they be lined as a favorite like this? And the public's not really going to want them because who's going to lay double digits with a below 500 team, significantly below 500 team? But if you look at the analytics and stuff, Charlotte has actually been a pretty decent team over the last month or so, even though they've been kind of alternating wins and losses. But if they keep alternating, that means this is going to be a loss, although I don't really see that happening. But we'll lean to Washington in this game. Charlotte, they're just all over the map, dude. Like, it seems like every one of their games is either a blowout win or a blowout loss. It's just kind of ridiculous. So, I don't know. And Charlotte, I believe, had that crazy blowout win, over Oklahoma City. Charlotte is so hard to predict. But I think we've been right on some of their games. Charlotte has gone up from 9 to 10.5 here. The money looks like it is coming in on their side. 51% of the tickets, 63% of the cash on them. I couldn't do it, though. I would lean towards taking the points, like I said, but I'm not touching that. ABC at 3 p.m., we actually get a better game here between the Knicks and the Sixers. The Knicksers game here. This game, you always got to look at the injury report with these two teams just to see what's going on. Karl Anthony Towns is a game-time decision. What else is new? Embiid and George are both game-time decisions. What else is new? I'm probably expecting that they all play because this is a big TV game. Towns is still listed as questionable. Now, let me see. Embiid is probable. Seems like he's always probable now. Paul George also probable. My guess is that all of those guys suit up today and play. So we get kind of a clean handicap if that's the case. What do we want to do with the game? Well, this is a little bit of a quick revenge spot. The Knicks beat Philadelphia in New York on January 3rd by double digits, 130-119. The Knicks do have some momentum coming into this game now, though, because the Knicks are on a bad losing streak, and Jalen Brunson, he did miss a couple of those games. He was injured for a couple games, so that was part of the reason why. But then he came back, and they were awful against Dallas, and then Brunson called a players-only meeting, and when the guy who's the team leader calls a team meeting like that, a players-only meeting, no staff or coaches, that's pretty serious. And whatever he said to them, obviously it worked because they absolutely wrecked the Nets in the next game. I know it's the Nets. They suck. Oh, they almost beat my Celtics last night, but beating them 120-66, that might be a little bit too good of a win. I mean, I don't care who you beat. If you win by that much against somebody, that's just insane. Usually if I see a score like that, I'm going to look to fade the team that was on the winning side of that. But they did break a losing streak. Like I said, they do have some momentum here. I don't really see them overlooking the Sixers in a TV game. For the Sixers, they are coming off the more difficult game. They just beat Houston in overtime on Thursday. That was a good win for the Sixers. The Sixers won at the Knicks, the last time they played. So the Knicks are actually in a revenge spot here, not the Sixers. The Knicks are in a revenge spot here. Philadelphia went to New York and beat them by double digits back on January 3rd. So the Knicks might have something to say about that. Might be some adjustments to make for the Knicks here. I think the Knicks are in a better spot here as well. I would lean to the Knicks in this game. The Sixers down from 2-1 here. It looks like the money is definitely agreeing with me on this and all coming in on the Knicks side, basically. 51% of the tickets are on the Sixers, but 83% of the cash on the Knicks. I agree. The odds makers telling you the Knicks are the better team. I agree with that as well. I actually think the Knicks should probably be a small favorite, to be honest. I think they're significantly better than the Sixers. So that's my opinion on that. I would only play the Knicks in that game. Golden State at Minnesota is also on ABC. It's an ABC triple header. This game at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Golden State did not get it done for us on the show, losing at Dallas outright. Terrible performance from Golden State. I think they did actually maybe have more field goal attempts in the game, or they got out free throwed in the game, or I don't know what it was. They got massively out rebounded as well. Really bad effort from Golden State. Of course, they're dealing without Jimmy Butler now. I'm not going to play the Jimmy's down again, but yeah, they're without Butler again here. They did get back Kuminga basically at the same time, which is weird because it seemed like Kuminga was like demanding a trade out of Golden State, but now he's playing because Jimmy Butler is hurt, so Kuminga is just in there. Golden State has lost 2 games in a row. They lost what I thought was they lost what I thought was going to be the injured player spot because I think Butler got hurt, I believe, against Miami, and then the injured player spot did not happen. Golden State was terrible in the next game. Terrible in 2 games in a row. Maybe they started looking ahead to Minnesota because the one big thing for Golden State here is this is playoff revenge from last year. Minnesota's the team that knocked Golden State out of the playoffs last year, and I believe they played once this year, and Minnesota won. Correct. Minnesota won by 7 at Golden State the one time they played this year. So the revenge is still active for Golden State here, so I think that is a pretty significant motivating factor. Because obviously you remember the team that ended your season and you want to get back at them. Minnesota is in a positive spot, though, I would say. They return home from a road trip. And like I said, I thought that was a bad spot. I always think return home road trip spots are bad. They lost outright to Chicago. My hesitation on that was that Josh Giddey was coming back in that game for Chicago, and he did. So I thought it was kind of a reverse injured player spot. But I did say, take the points for Chicago before it's announced that he comes back and you'll get the better number. Didn't even matter. The Bulls won outright. So my read on that game was right. Unfortunately, it was not on my card. Now, Minnesota had that bad game there, but I always talk about how when a team returns home from a road trip and they don't do well in that game, they usually bounce back and play a lot better in the next game. And again, I think it was a bad spot. Like I said, it was a return home spot. They were probably looking ahead to this TV game. So I think both teams are going to show up in this one. But I think it's just a matter of, I would probably lean to the Warriors just because the Warriors, I think, have looked worse in their last couple of games. And I think the sentiment is basically like the Warriors can't win without Butler. Like that seems to be the sentiment. But they're still not that bad of a team really without him. In my opinion, the Wolves are up from 5 to 6 here, but they're public. 71% of the tickets and cash on them. I would probably take the points with the Warriors. And I think the revenge motive, I think, is part of the handicap in that one. That kind of tilts it towards the Warriors in that one. Cleveland at Orlando. Cleveland, I mean, they're just not having a great season this year, man. They're coming off kind of a lackluster game against the Kings. That was yesterday. Normally, I would say, well, yeah, when a team doesn't do well, like Cleveland didn't do well at home yesterday. They were double-digit favorites. I told you I leaned to Sacramento in that game, and they did cover. Cleveland barely got out of that with a win. Not a good performance. Now they're going to Orlando, but they're traveling with no time off here and playing a 3rd game in 4 days, 4th game in 6 days, and it's been travel between every one of these games, too, so that's not that easy to do. So it's really not the greatest spot for Cleveland. I think the spot is better for Orlando. Orlando just, again, they got destroyed by Charlotte, but remember what that spot was. Orlando was coming back from Europe. So that was just a weird, kind of unfamiliar spot for Orlando to be in. Very weird travel spot. Unfamiliar travel to have to come back. And I think it can function like a road trip return as well. You know, they were away for over a week, basically, and you have to get back home. You have to get back to home life and stuff. I had mentioned that it's a bad spot returning home from a road trip. Returning home from Europe. I didn't really mention it in the context of it being also, you know, it's basically like a road trip return, but it is. It's a negative either way you look at it. Orlando had a horrible game in that game, and they had yesterday off, and they had a lot of days off prior to that, although that was because they were traveling. But at this point, I think Orlando's the more rested team. They're coming off an embarrassing result against Charlotte. I would lean to Orlando in this one. Orlando looks like they are getting the money. They flipped from a 1.5 dog to a 2-point favorite here. 54% of the tickets on the Cavs, but 86% of the cash on the Magic. Looks like the actual money is on the Magic. One question, I guess, is why did the line flip like that? It looks like Garland is still out for Cleveland. He's missed a lot of games, man, so I don't think that's a change from one game to the next. Orlando looks like they lost Wagner again. How is this happening, dude? So Wagner is not playing in this game, but Orlando has gone up on the line. Very, very strange. Wagner, I guess, didn't play in the first game where they returned home either. Very, very strange. So I guess that was kind of an injured player spot, and Orlando still didn't do well in that game. So Wagner is going to be out, I guess, and then Suggs is going to play. He's a game-time decision, but he will play. But it's Orlando without Wagner, but I still lean to Orlando in that game based on the spot. But a lot of moving parts in that one. My Boston Celtics are at Chicago. Now, when I look at this game, first of all, I would say, well, if the Celtics are off barely beating a really bad Brooklyn team and the Celtics are coming off an escape like that, usually the Celtics do play better. Like, they're well coached. Missoula. The Celtics are kind of I know the Celtics, man, and they're good at bouncing back from bad performances. But the problem is that was a double overtime game, and it was last night. And now they're playing. I mean, look at this schedule for them. It's actually awful. It's not only a back-to-back, but it's a third game in 4 days, fourth game in 6 days, fifth game in 8 days, and a sixth game in 10 days, all in different cities. So that type of thing could definitely, like, pile up on you, man. And the Celtics have already had a positive road trip. They're already 4-2 on the road trip, so they already won the road trip here. So the spot is not that great for the Celtics, even though they did almost lose to Brooklyn last night. And Hugo Gonzalez, draft pick, rookie, hit the three to tie it to send it into overtime. Huge three from him, man. He's not really known as an offensive guy, but he's been a really good player just all over the court, man, playing really good defense and good fundamentals, getting rebounds, you know. I like that guy. Good pick by the Celtics. Anyway, the Bulls are coming off of a much better performance. They upset Minnesota on the road on Thursday, like I said, and they caught Minnesota in a very good spot to catch them in the return home spot. So the Bulls got that win. Giddey is back now, so there is that. They're obviously not going to overlook the Celtics. Now, normally I would say, well, if the Bulls are off a big upset win and the Celtics just almost lost as a huge favorite, you would have to lean to the Celtics, right? But again, I worry because this travel spot for the Celtics is just awful. And the money is coming in on the Bulls. I don't know when they would have been a 4.5-point underdog. I don't know if they thought that maybe Giddey wasn't going to be playing or something, but he played in the last game. I don't know. I looked at what the Celtics are doing, and the Celtics aren't really resting guys here. Now, the Celtics rested White last night, so that means he's probably playing tonight. So White got the rest last night. Maybe the Celtics are resting somebody else tonight, but I didn't see it on the injury report. Maybe, I mean, there might be some info that is not here on ESPN, you know. So the way this line is looking with the Bulls now being a 1.5-point favorite, I think maybe the Celtics might be doing something with rest here. They might even be resting Brown or something. I have no idea what the Celtics are doing. I assume White is going to play because he didn't play last night, but the Celtics might be doing something with rest here. 58% of the tickets are on the Celtics, 93% of the cash on the Bulls. The money is all over the Bulls in this game on the market read. I can't really disagree with the market read like that. I mean, sometimes I will, but I usually try not to. I guess I will agree with the Bulls in that game, unfortunately. But if the Celtics weren't on this horrendous road trip, like with all these games in quick succession, if the setup was just Celtics coming off a bad performance, so they barely escaped, Bulls coming off a big upset, I would look to the Celtics, but I don't think I could do it in this case. Although, I guess it wouldn't really totally surprise me if the Celtics won. I mean, we'll see what happens, but, because that kind of seems to be like kind of their MO. The Celtics, I mean, they still run deep. They got a lot of bench players that actually come out and play well, so we'll see. Yeah, Diddy is back. No, the pulled pork sandwich is a Carolina sandwich. We're talking about a Dallas, Texas sandwich in that one with the Blues. Hugo, Gonzilla, because he's Spanish. Is that really his nickname? I don't know. Giddy, Josh Giddy, the guy who's being accused of a pedophile, although the real situation is that it was like, I don't know, some chick that he met online or something. She lied about her age. So it's almost the same thing that happened to Birdman, Chris Anderson. You know what I mean? His reputation got completely ruined. I've talked about this on the show before. Birdman, he got catfished, which is even more ridiculous. Like this, teenage girl from Canada online was pretending to be like a 20-something-year-old woman and communicating with Birdman. And now everybody is, Birdman is a pedophile and whatever. No, he's just kind of an idiot and he got lied to online. That's what it is. Free Birdman. Free Chris Anderson, Birdman. And then I know all about that because that catfish, the chick that catfished him wound up on the show Catfish because she was catfishing somebody else and they found her and she was like somewhere like way up north in like Manitoba or some shit, like catfishing dudes all over the place, serial catfish. And one of the dudes she catfished was the Birdman. She should go to prison. I mean, she got caught on catfish, but she's going to be treated lightly because she was like 16 or something. Treated as a juvenile. And they don't treat like doing that as like that serious of a crime because it's also like, Birdman just shouldn't have been that stupid, right? Like, don't believe people online, which is kind of true, you should, like, that chick was such a serial catfish, such a liar. You should have been able to tell that she was a liar. That's the thing. But when you think you got something, man, you overlook all that and you envision the ideal. All right, Lakers at Dallas here. This is the battle of Luka, obviously, with the Lakers having gotten him from Dallas in the trade, and now Anthony Davis, who Dallas got, is probably never coming back. The Lakers just lost at the Clippers. Not a great loss for the Lakers there. Maybe they were looking ahead a little bit. I don't know. But probably an okay bounce-back spot for the Lakers here. Although the Lakers really just aren't that great of a team, man. They're not very good defensively. Dallas is going to show up for this game as well, though. And Dallas is on a 4-game winning streak, and they're staying at home. They did pull off an upset in the last game. So there is that, but they're not going to overlook the Lakers here. So I would probably lean towards taking the points with the Mavs in this one. Lakers are down from 5 to 3.5. You got to think that the public will be coming in on the Lakers here. 80% of the tickets, only 76% of the cash on them. So a lot of the tickets, less of the money on them. Looks like a very, very low price to lay with the Lakers. Of course, Austin Reeves is still out, but it almost looks way too easy to play the Lakers here. So I would probably have to lean to Dallas in that one. And that is the final ABC game of the triple header as well. Women don't do time. Yeah, I mean, it depends what they do. I mean, there are women prisons. Orange is the new black, baby. They all hook up with each other. I've never watched the show, actually. Not really interested, even though it might be hot. No pro athlete should be online dating. It depends, right? I mean, like, I don't know. If you use one of the more, like, reputable sites and you can verify that the person you're talking to is real or whatever, and whatever, actually meet up with them in person. Like, I think meeting somebody online is fine, but you got to meet up with them in person, like, pretty quickly, and make sure that they're real, from the dude's perspective at least. And then maybe you don't have to be. I mean, I guess it is still a concern. Oh God, we got to meet this stranger in person. Maybe do it in a public setting at least. You know what I mean? The first time you're meeting them, so they can't ambush you in a dark alley. All right, Miami at Utah is the last game, I believe. Miami has been on the road for a while. I've had a lot of games here. Miami has. They're playing let me see. They played 19th, 20th, 22nd, and 24th. So they're playing a fourth game in 6 days here. And it is also a fifth game in 8 days, all in different cities. So that's pretty difficult, having to go into elevation here. Miami did just lose at Portland pretty badly. Portland's been playing pretty well recently, and I did say that I leaned to Portland in that game. So Miami might be in a bounce-back mode here, although Utah is, Utah's not a pushover at home, man. They're almost a 500 team at home. They're 10-13 at home. Miami's bad on the road, 8-15, so it might not be a great environment for Miami to come into here. Utah did just lose to San Antonio by 17. It's not like they played close in the game. They are still staying at home. They're 1-1 on the homestand so far, so maybe looking to get another win here. I'd probably lean to Utah in the game, all things considered. Heat down from 7-6 here. 58% of the tickets on the Heat, 69% of the cash on the Jazz. I think you do have some home road splits in favor of the Jazz here. You're getting points with them. They've been a pretty solid home underdog, the Jazz have been. And the Heat are they're the less rested team here, like I showed you, with more travel going on. So I agree with the market in that one. I would lean towards the Jazz. If I played any NBA game today, it would actually probably be the Knicks, though. I think that's the strongest NBA play is the Knicks. I agree with that one as well. All right, let's look at my college basketball plays before we get out of here. And I will reiterate all of my plays here. The lines were a little bit different, but it looked like most of them hadn't really changed. So once again, you can go watch my show from last night. Follow me on Instagram, and you'll get the analysis that way for these games. College basketball. First game up is Sacred Heart minus the 9.5. Looks like you might be able to get 9 on this. Still not much of a market read to see on that one. We're on Dayton, which was -6, but it was like -5.5 last night. It is back up to 6. Hopefully that's not going to make too much of a difference. The money looks like it is coming in on the Dayton side. So it looks like there is market agreement, maybe on both of those games. Then we have a bunch of underdogs. Richmond plus the points, which actually you can get 10 on Richmond now. So you get a better number on Richmond now. But I like the spot there. Depaul plus the 2.5. I'm worried that the market seems to be going against Richmond, but it is what it is. Not really a market read yet on the Depaul game here, but it looks like the line has dropped a little bit on the Seton Hall side, which I already pointed that out last night. No real movement from last night. So Depaul is one of the plays. Depaul plus the 2.5. Fresno plus 3.5 is where it is in most places, but there are 4s out there. Not really much of a market read to see on that one yet. It's a later game, so who knows. San Diego plus the points. I didn't find the 14 out there, man. You might be able to find it if you wait, you will find a 14 on this if the late crowd tries to play this game. But this is not football, so 14 is not a key number. So hopefully the 13.5 is good enough on that one. And that's it. And there's no real market read on that one yet either. And then I did give out a play that's going against the market. We're on the LA Kings on the money line. And those are all the plays today, man. Let's get it done. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Learn to Toad on Twitter. You can subscribe to me there. Subscribe to the channel here, man. Give me good comments. I need better visuals and stuff. Subscribe. We got to get more viewers here. Let's go. We're on audio as well. Listen and review over there. The audio numbers going down a little bit, which I don't like, but I'm consistently putting it up on audio, Spotify and Apple. Need more good reviews over there. Maybe I'm just too long-winded, man. But I think I give out more information on my show than this is probably the most informative sports betting show that there is. Although it's my autism that's doing it. Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. You can check that out as well. Ukulele covers, and there are some originals up there as well. Patreon.com/LearnToToad. You can get some bonus stuff there. You can chat with me. You can get requests, whatever. And there's a Spotify feed, which I haven't put the last 2 songs up there yet, which I still have to do. I haven't put them up on YouTube yet either. I got to do that because one of them was a request, so I definitely have to do that probably at some point over the next couple of days. And then Losercast, of course, the comedy podcast that I'm on that's on Tuesday nights. That's going to do it. Thank you, sir. Way more info. Hell yeah, we need way more viewers though, man. I appreciate all the loyal members, the loyal viewers here that keep coming back. We need more, man. The Uke Spotify feed, it's on the Patreon. I don't know how exactly it works on the Patreon. There's like, I don't know. There's probably a link to it on the Patreon or something. I don't know. I kind of got to figure that out. We did it for Tower Gang as well. So I don't know. It is there on somehow you can find it on the Patreon page somewhere if you're one of the members that's at that level. It's at any of the levels that are higher than the lowest level. You can get it on the Patreon. That's gonna do it. I appreciate it, guys. Peace, and I'll be back tomorrow. And of course, we got to talk NFL tomorrow because both NFL games are happening tomorrow. And I believe I'm gonna have one play in the NFL. You probably already know what it is, by the way. But yeah, we're gonna probably be on the NFL tomorrow on one of the sides. That's gonna do it. Peace.